In 1953, the structure of DNA was identified. At the time, it did not feel like a turning point. There were no announcements, no public attention, no sense that something fundamental had just been revealed. The world outside continued normally. People went to work. Rooms were cleaned. Streets looked the same as they had the year before. What changed existed somewhere else. Inside rooms most people would never enter, on tables that were not meant to be seen, on paper that would not leave the building it was written in. In 1953, DNA was not a word people used. It did not appear in conversation. It was not taught. It did not explain anything about daily life. It was not a discovery you could point to. You could not hold it. You could not see it clearly. What existed was a structure, a way things were arranged, a pattern that had always been there. For a long time, it had gone unnoticed, not because it was hidden, but because there was no reason to look at it this way before. In 1953, the structure of DNA was not understood as identity. It was not understood as destiny. It was not understood as instruction. It was simply a configuration, a relationship between parts, an arrangement that made sense on paper. Most people never heard about it. They did not feel different. Nothing in their routines changed. The discovery stayed where it was made, inside laboratories, inside notebooks, inside conversations between a very small number of people. There was no immediate application, no product, no device, no visible outcome. In 1953, the structure of DNA did not explain illness. It did not explain inheritance. It did not explain behavior. Those explanations would come later, much later. At the time, it existed without context, without consequence, without urgency. It did not ask anything of the world, and the world did not respond to it. The rooms where it was discussed remained quiet. Tables stayed cluttered. Papers were stacked and moved aside. Nothing was rearranged to make space for what had been found. In 1953, the structure of DNA was not something people lived with. It was something that stayed where it was. Outside, life continued in familiar patterns. Buildings aged, paint faded, furniture wore down from use. The discovery did not interrupt any of this. It would take years before its presence became visible, years before it reached hospitals, years before it entered classrooms, years before it became a word people recognized. In 1953, none of that was apparent. What existed then was only the structure itself, quiet, incomplete, and easy to ignore. It did not feel like the beginning of anything. It felt like one more observation added to a growing pile of notes. In that year, the world did not reorganize around this idea. It did not slow down. It did not accelerate. The structure of DNA remained where it had always been, inside living things, unseen, unfelt. And in 1953, that was enough for it to pass almost unnoticed.